Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic. Welcome back once again to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and I have a donation list from Patreon member Foxicon. And Foxicon just wanted me to play the deck I think is best. So they did not send me a list, they sent me loose, and frankly, I still think that Rug Delver is probably the best deck in Legacy. And could be controversial because you could look at like MetaShare on MTG Goldfish that would say like Death and Taxes is the best deck in Legacy or whatever measure, but I still think that like for your money in an open field, like you jump into a Grand Prix or a Star City Open or whatever, Rug Delver is probably going to serve you the best. Though, that said, it's much closer than it has been in the past. I mean, the Dreadhorde Arcanist and Oko bans really knock this from S tier just to tier 1. So there are other decks that can hang in this space. I just haven't played Rug Delver on the channel in a long time, and I think it's due for another look. And also, yesterday I was recording a league, the Pokemoki donation deck Bug Uro, and I got absolutely ram-ranched by Rug Delver because it turned out they're just a better Stifle Uro deck than the dedicated Stifle Uro strategy of Bug Uro, which was really mind-blowing to me. So there could be some recency bias as well, just thinking this deck is unbeatable. But I do think that this is great. This is a list that Rich Callie posted recently on Twitter. He put up a 5-0 on stream with Rug Delver. I've moved a couple cards around, but this is basically Rich's list. Rich is an excellent Delver player. There's a bunch of Star City top 8s. He writes for Channel Fireball. He's just generally known Legacy Delver expert if you're not familiar with his work. So this is the deck that I think is probably the most well-rounded and best in the format right now, and that's what Foxicon wanted, so let's go give it a shot. So this is one of those Delver hands, we're on the play, where it doesn't have a threat. It does have 2 cantrips to try to find threats though, so I'll keep this. Not exactly what you want. Like every time you start with Ponder instead of Delver, it's a sad time to be a Delver player, but I'm not gonna ship a hand with this kind of action on the play in the blind. Like if I knew more about the matchup or whatever. Like if I knew they were a Chalice of the Void deck and I was on the draw, then this would be a different equation, but I think this is fine. There's a Tarmogoyf. So we found a threat. I think I should have stacked that Pondered with the Stifle on top, actually. So Tarmogoyf would be the top card of my deck in case we're playing against a discard deck. Bloodstained Mire. Decks with Bloodstained Mire tend to also have discard spells in them. Or they're just burn. Alright, Goblin Guide, huh? That's what we're doing. Okay. So luckily for me, Tarmogoyf is bigger than Goblin Guide. Lightning Bolt is a pretty good card in this matchup for keeping their creatures under control. So the Lightning Bolt underneath the Tarmogoyf here, though I think I would rather shuffle this away and get a fresh look at the situation. So there's a cool rules thing that's about to come up. I suspect that I play Tarmogoyf as a 2/3, but there's not an instant in the graveyard. So if they Lightning Bolt this, it will become a 3/4 before the game checks if it's dead to damage or not. So they can't Lightning Bolt this. They can't Searing Blaze it. I mean, they can do those things, it just won't die. Suspending Riftbolt, okay. And casting Swiftspear. Alright, so they can't really attack here. And that's great. And I can Stifle the Riftbolt and Lightning Bolt one of the creatures. Oh wow, second Tarmogoyf's insane here. So backup Goyf coming in. Yeah, beating burn generally is about getting on board, stopping their creatures, then killing them quickly, more than it's about gaining life or casting removal spells. All right, so I got to be careful here. So the suspend 1 trigger. So now this, when the last time counter is removed, now I stifle this part. And those make my Tarmogoyfs into 3/4s, and that Rift Bolt is gone. So now we should be able to start chunking. I just got to look out for Price of Progress at this point. Those cards that can deal massive chunks of damage in like more than 3 points at a time. That's what I'm worried about. All right, and they're on this creature draw. So the double Goyf is a big game here. They're going to try to go wide and just push around them and just ram into this bloodbath, or what's their plan here? If they attack with all their things, I'm going to block the Swift Spears, not the Goblin Guides. So I think that makes sense. They have 1 card left. If they don't attack, so this Tarmogoyf, or these Tarmogoyfs, I guess, basically discarded 4 cards from their hand. Like all 4 of these cards are now blanks. For now. If they're not attacking, they're blanks. And yeah, so that's insane. Another one. Okay, so I think I want to attack with my 2 Tarmogoyfs. And I have Lightning Bolt that can break up any double blocks, though I think they'll just take it. All right, yeah, they're just taking it. And then I'm going to play Wasteland, Tarmogoyf. I'm playing the Tarmogoyf off the green mana instead of the Wasteland so I can waste myself if they have Price of Progress. And I can still cast Lightning Bolt right now. I'm just going to try to outmuscle them. Alright, Goblin Guide, give me some goods. Alright, drew 1 card. And what's my other card on top? Stifle. Alright, that's not great for this matchup. So I'll block a Swift Spear, because I think getting like multi-spelled here is going to be worse than... Alright, and I'm going to pick off a Goblin Guide with a Lightning Bolt, because I would hate for them to have 2 spells and save their Swift Spear. I'm getting Fire Blasted in response. Or they're Fire Blasting Tarmogoyf. Okay, that's fine. Alright, cool. That's actually totally fine. And they're Hellbent. Cool. So Stifle's not great, and I know that, so I can use Brainstorm. And I already have this fetch land that I picked up off of these Goblin Guides. So Stifle, not good. Though Stifle does pitch to Force. I think I want to put back Stifle and Volcanic Island in that order. Okay, yeah, they're just conceding. Alright. They give up. Yeah, Tarmogoyf, get on board, be bigger. Burn, I think, is a pretty good matchup for Rug Delver in general. So another creature removal. Klothys can gain life, which is a huge deal. These decks are built to deal like exactly 20 damage, and they don't really do more than that. Brazen Borrower can gain, like, tempo a creature. Like, all their creatures are haste, so it's not really great, but you could like bounce Goblin Guide to save 2 damage. Just see what's worse in this deck. I think Stifle does very little in the deck. I guess getting that Rift Bolt was a big deal, but in general, like, what are you gonna do? Stifle a Prowess trigger? So I don't love Stifle. I think all the forces are fine, the dazes are fine. Sylvan Library, you're not going to have a whole lot of time to maneuver a Sylvan Library. Though,
Actually, I think Stifle might be better than Library just because it's blue for Force, and there are those fringe applications like leaving a Riftbolt on Suspend. Yeah, I just don't think there's going to be any time to Sylvan Library in this matchup. Like spending 2 mana to do nothing to have the option to pay life in the future. I don't like it. Oh, I think I like Rough Tumble though. Yeah, having a Pyroclasm is a big deal. So I think the Stifles just lost their chance to be in this game. Alright, that looks good to me. Yeah, Rug Delver just like shit like Burn, where it's like, oh, that could be bad for me, but it's not. I don't think I can keep this hand. If one of these was Volcanic Island and I could like shoot the Goblin Guide and then have up Daze and Force to buy time, maybe, but as it stands, no. Oh, this hand's great. Probably could have boarded out Wasteland over Stifle. Maybe if there is a game 3, I'll switch some of my Wastelands back into Stifles. Because we're talking about the difference between some utility and none. Goblin Guide. So here's the equation here. This Goblin Guide is going to deal 4. And 4 is a better rate than most of their things are worth. Like most of their things deal 3. But I do have a different answer to Goblin Guide lined up if I'm willing to take 4. And I think this Force of Will can do better. I just revealed another Force on top. That's not great. But that's okay, because I just paused like I had Force of Will, and I gave away the fact that I had it. So now that they've actually seen one, we can stop bluffing and just have it. Alright, this is bonkers. Alright, so I have Tarmogoyf lined up into Uro here. Or more likely I'll rough next turn. Back this up with... Yeah, Eidolon's fine. That's gonna get cleaned up by the rough anyway. Yeah, I was hoping they would curve creatures here. Oh, now they're gonna see the Uro. Yeah, unfortunately I couldn't stack the Ponder to get an extra card, though. They should be worried about Uro now. So I'm gonna get a 2-for-1 here. And then I have Force of Will to bridge the gap into Uro. And then I'll be at 13 life and then 16. Is that what I want to fight over? No, because Tarmogoyf can beat that. I want to save these forces for something like Price of Progress or Fire Blast. Alright, so this puts me to 8. This attacks puts me to 5. And then Uro brings me back up to 8. Yeah, that's fine. They have 1 card left and I have Force of Will. So I guess they could have like Exquisite Firecraft. That would mess me up. Okay. They have the lethal right now Fire Blast. So I am going to force that. And then I'll go to 3. But they're hellbent with 1 land and I can Uro. This is a little awkward because now I have to Uro. If I had had 5 life, I think I would have played Tarmogoyf and just Uro'd next turn. Or if I didn't have to force. Like if I could be at 5 life with force backup, but this attack putting me to 3. 3 is the magic number that you can just lose. Though Uro's actually putting me to 5 because of the fetch land, which is the same as 3 with Swiftspear in play. So I might just want to double spell, get Tarmogoyf into play. Because I'm dead to Lightning Bolt either way. That's interesting. I guess the backup, the alternative is I'm not dead to Goblin Guide either way. 2 mana spells don't matter. Rift Bolt doesn't matter. I guess the finding land number 4 off of Uro to escape Uro would be the tiebreaker. This is actually really tough. I think I want to get Swift Spear under control, which means casting Goyf and Delver this turn, and then I'll figure out Uro next turn. I'm dead to Lightning Bolt either way. Okay, so red, red, or green, green, what's more important here? Oh, green, green is definitely more important because of Uro. And there's not even a guarantee that I could escape Uro next turn, even if I find the land for it, because I'm a card short. So this is the butt clencher. Let's just hope they draw land, or like Fire Blast, something they can't cast. Price of Progress even. Or they could just draw Chain Lightning. Yeah, okay. Did my best to play the game. They just had it. Alright. That's why we play 3. Alright, game 3. Here we go. I guess Uro could have found Daze or a counterspell, which is like another dimension where I don't have to take the 3. Like if the Uro draws a card and it's... Or if Uro draws land, then I can play Delver and Chump. Am I reverse engineering like right now, or am I actually discovering lines I didn't think about? I'm not sure. Okay, so Wasteland out, one more Stifle in. I think that's fine. Yeah, so Uro... So if Uro bricks, then I just have... Like, if it just finds, like, Tarmogoyf, then I have nothing. And I lose to the same Chain Lightning. If it finds land, I can play Delver and Chump. Yeah, I think Uroing would have made more sense. Alright, this is a mulligan. No lands. This is a keep. I want to send probably Force of Will to the Shadow Realm. Yeah, I don't want that right away. I have Daze, which is functionally Force of Will at this stage of the game. I have the Lightning Bolt that can pick off the turn 1 haste creature. Ooh, Stifle. Wish I had it. Wish I had it. Have they played any fetch lands yet? Did I know they had those? Oh, they have the Spike Hand. Okay. So they have the burn spell hand here, and not the creature hand. So I'll ponder on my turn. Yeah, they're gonna get a whole turn cycle out of me without using my mana, because they went with Spike instead of a creature. Alright, what you thinking about over there? Let's go. Your burn, you've cast your spell for the turn. That's how this works. So I want to fetch a Trop because I want to find Volk off of my cantrips. Show me a fetch land. Alright, we got there. Okay, so Delver on top is pretty great. I can Daze this turn, and I have the 2 lands to function on. So I have Eidolon covered. If they play a Swift Spear or Goblin Guide, I think I'm gonna have to shuffle away my Delver to bolt it. Yeah, and I'm gonna shuffle before the trigger resolves, so I have a chance of seeing a land. Alright, see you later, Delver. Sorry. Right, land? No land. Brainstorm on top. We take those. Uh-oh. Alright, Force Negation's fine. Rough Tumble's a little awkward with both Forked Bolt and a Braid in the hand, so Rough Tumble can go. Do I even want Force of Negation, actually? I guess if they're on this burn-heavy hand, I probably do. But what am I putting back? Is it Forked Bolt? I'm going to put back Force of Negation. Let's get another shuffle out of this ponder. Yikes. I want that Uro, but I can't have it. Okay, so this is... I'm not sure if this is lining up awkwardly because their hand is good or because their hand is bad. Like, they're either playing around soft permission and that kind of stuff, or they are just masterfully playing around days and everything. And if that's the case, I need to find an Uro and start pulling ahead very quickly. Alright. Queen Clothis also does the trick. So this is going to put some real pressure on them to produce damage quickly, and hopefully forces a misstep where I get to daze something important. Right, Lightning Bolt. Okay, looks like they're just got nothing. So if this eats a non-creature, or okay, if it eats a land, I get mana. If it eats anything else, I get life. So I think eating their lightning bolt sounds pretty good. It's the circle of life. Alright, now I have 2 threats and a way to gain life. I'm going to sit on this brainstorm in case I need to dig for something. I'll hold the Abrade for an Eidolon or whatever. Alright, so have they been playing around days or what? What is this? 3-drop I can daze maybe? Oh, can't counter that one. Alright, I take 4. Alright, so that's actually a little bit scary. Okay, so do I brainstorm now? I think so. Yeah, like getting this Delver flipped seems important. Brazen Borrower does not flip Delver. I'll hide the Rough Tumble. Yes. Eat the Firecraft. Alright, so 4 cards in hand. There are paths to 9 life there. The days, not ideal. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I can't quite kill them next turn. They're at 1 next turn, based on what's I have available. Eidolon. I think I want a Brazen Borrower in response. Just in attack mode. Alright. Now what? So they might get locked out by their own Eidolon here. And I eat Chain Lightning. Now they don't have Spell Mastery for Exquisite Firecraft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I can put them to 1 and then they can't cast spells. Ooh. They're Pyroblasting. Okay, so they actually are dead. Is there a way I can lose this from here? So I daze this, then I Forked Bolt after combat. Hope they don't have a flurry of free spells to kill me. Yeah, they don't have 2 lands with which to Fire Blast. Or yeah, they don't have 4 lands to Fire Blast twice. Yeah, so I'll just fork them. I go to 7. I don't think there are things that can kill me here. Yeah, so they played. They were holding up Pyroblast. That's what they were doing for that whole early game where they weren't dealing burn damage to me. And trying to be a control deck when you're a burn deck is not a winning line against an actual control deck. All right, got away with that one. Next round. I'm on the play for round 2. I have a pretty hand that punches pretty hard here, so I'm going to keep. Again, it's missing the Delver, but like Goif Goif with Daze backup, Ponder for some action, Uro in the tank. I like this hand. Unless we just get combo killed on turn 1 through a Daze, then I think we're doing alright with this. Opponent's on 6 so far. In the tank about how low they want to go. Okay. I like to lead on Tropical Island when it's available. I'm not sure who we're really fooling with that, but I do feel like I was just like narrating instead of playing. All right, so but I do feel like Volcanic Island Ponder sends a totally different message than Tropical Island Ponder. But I guess I'm not sure which one I would buy more. Maybe I'm supposed to daze that. Probably not, because I want to get my Tarmogoyf into play. Basically, against any Once Upon a Time deck, you just want Tarmogoyf in play. Got the Eldrazi Mimic. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm going to play Tarmogoyf. And then I can Wasteland Lightning Bolt next turn. Yeah, so I play Tarmogoyf, I Daze Thought-Knot Seer, and then I Wasteland one of their lands and Lightning Bolt their Mimic next turn, and then Tarmogoyf is just crunching. If they take a turn off to play Cavern of Souls instead of Thought-Knot Seer, then I'll just get a second Tarmogoyf into play, waste their Eldrazi Temple, and keep them from ever casting a spell. We got the old 2/3 Tarmogoyf. Thanks, Once Upon a Time. Though Daze was going to turn into a 2/3 anyway. But they could have attacked pre-combat, or before casting any other spell. Or are they playing around Daze? Yeah, they are. Whoops. Alright, so I'm just going to get the second Tarmogoyf into play. So, wasting Eldrazi Temple takes them off Painless mana, but Ancient Tomb does 2 mana for non-Eldrazi spells. I want them to hurt. So I'm going to take the Eldrazi Temple, and they can try to navigate this game with only Ancient Tomb for mana. And backup Goyf. This looks a lot like the burn matchup we just played. Just put Tarmogoyf in the way of their creatures, and they die quickly. The 3/4, when I daze the Thought-Knot Seer, they'll be 4/5s. Then yeah, and they can't waste me because they need their lands to play the game. Alright, I'm gonna bolt this. That'll put a creature in the graveyard. Get Delver into play. Yeah, now, like, even if they have Eldrazi Temple and they can play around Daze, they're still gonna have to tap Ancient Tomb to do it. These are bigger than Thought-Knot Seer by now. And Delver's ready to crunch. Yeah, they're just dead. That's a proper delving. The old Wasteland Daze cheap threat. You never played the game hand. It's great that I never had to play the Daze, because now they're going to wonder in the next game, like, oh, I shouldn't have played around days, and then I'm going to be able to get them with days. So that's going to be a good time. All right, Dismember comes in here. They have thicker creatures than me, so Dismember could help. Brazen Borrower could buy time. It's also a tempo-y end of turn play. Abrade and Ancient Grudge. Chalice of the Void is the frightening thing they can do. Force of Negation is not good. Sylvan Library is good if you have time for it. Forked Bolt, if you pick off a Mimic with this, you're going to feel smart. If you get 2, you're going to just be a Galaxy Brain. But if you have to hit like Matter Reshaper with this, or worse, if they just go straight up to Thought Knot, you're going to be really sad. So I'm not super excited about that. Oh, Stifle has almost no utility here. I guess like stifling a Thought Knot trigger could be something, but like I don't think they're going to get up to Eye of Ugin. Stifling an Eye of Ugin could be good too. So I actually think Forked Bolt's back in the deck. It has more text than Stifle does. It can go face. This is not going to kill anything. Null Rod, they didn't show me anything that would indicate Null Rod is good in game 1. Wow, is it really just like Klothys? Is that better than Stifle? Oh, that seems awkward. This sideboard is clearly not super well mapped out for the Eldrazi matchup, but I think that's probably fine. And this is a pretty good matchup anyway. But alright, yeah, Klothys needs I think it's 7. Yeah, 7 devotion. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It can be done. Klothys can rise. But yeah, I'm just putting Klothys in because I think she's better than these other cards that are here. I'm going to pay attention to Stifle targets in this next game and see if there's something different I should be doing. Like, I guess stifling one of their wastelands is like wastelanding them. This hand can answer Chalice of the Void, and then also has a proactive game plan, so I'm interested. Ooh, okay. Called Eye of Ugin, ship it. I love that second land. That gives me so much peace of mind that I can just jam my Hex Drinker now. Just gonna try to get this into Progenitus mode and win the game on its own. Having to force a Thought Knot Seer isn't exciting because I lose my Brainstorm, but is what it is. They put 4 toughness creatures in their deck for a reason. Okay. I was gonna level up Hex Drinker, but now I just cast Tarmogoyf. Who is already a 3/4. No, I want the Volk. I already have a drop. Okay, so if I draw a land, I can get Hex Drinker up to 4/4 immediately. Level 3 is when that happens. So let's see what you got. You got the Endbringer, or something bigger than what I can produce. A 6/6 Endless one. That's also pretty good. Nope, Endbringer. Even better, but I can ram one of my creatures into this and finish it off with Bolt, if necessary. Like, I clearly have a burn spell here. Let's see what they want to do about it. Alright, nothing is their answer. This Endbringer can kill Hex Drinker for free next turn. Missing the land drop there was a huge deal. Also, not having double red sucks. Yeah, that hurts a lot, actually. Okay. Actually, so looking at this Klothys, and what if it was Stifle? Or like, I could Stifle the deal 1 damage to Hex Drinker. So that's worth noting, perhaps. Shit. Yeah, we'll see. This game is hitting a little bit of a wall here. Okay, Forked Bolt is really interesting because I can pick off Mimic and deal 1 to Endbringer, and then Tarmogoyf attacks as a 4/5. Alright, Reshaper. Yeah, they're starting to gum up the board here. So I can bolt their face in the end step. Or I can try to... Yeah, I think I do want to bolt their face. Because they played around bolt last turn, and now I showed them a bolt, so now they might not play around it again. They can also just pacify Tarmogoyf. Okay, so I can pick off Endbringer. I'm going to move to combat and see what they do. Alright. So if I attack, then if they double block... No, I need to kill Endbringer. That's really the entire story here. And they're going to get to draw a card out of the deal. Three damage, and then another 2. Yeah, I guess I could have done this all pre-combat and then attacked, but then Goyf just trades off with Matter Reshaper. Is not a good deal. Yeah, I think I want to just shove Goyf, sit Goyf and play as Moat, and then let Klothys bleed them out. Alright. Okay, that's my plan. Let's see if it works. Please don't have Thought-Knot Seer right now. Alright, they need a handful of blanks for this plan to work, or at least small shitters. This looks like a Reality Smasher. Youch. So if I take 10, I go to 6. Alright, I'm at 6. I think that leaves me dead on board. Yeah, I think they just outmuscled me this game. Brazen Borrower, what do you do? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Trample. 4, 5. So 5, 6, 7. Block. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can Klothys and hope they have literally nothing. Or I can bounce Eldrazi Mimic. Wait, this is an enchantment. Okay, I have a plan. I can bounce Reality Smasher, discarding Klothys, which makes Tarmogoyf 5/6. Oh, let's see if this works. It's tenuous. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So they have Eye of Ugin here. Oh, did they just pitch a Spirit Guide? Oh, they pitched a Spirit Guide to cast that. Okay. And they found Wasteland. Fuck. Oh, but they already played their land for the turn. Don't care. That was actually great. Anything that's not a creature is a good deal. Hopefully they just ram in everything and think that I have a forced block here, and then I end up eating Mimic for free. Well, it's not free. I have to discard Klothys, but I would like to eat something here. Alright. So I think Mimic is the better block. I'm going to need to top deck something, because I'm going to 3 life off this attack. If they make this attack, then I'm going to 3. And they can just replay Smasher right now, so it's not even like they're bottlenecked for next turn. Yeah, this is bad. And the only way to make Tarmogoyf 4 or 5 is to target the Smasher. Alright, so discard Clothis. Got myself a 5/6. Bounce that. And I have to block Mimic because it'll be a 5/5 next turn. So I need to answer Matter Reshaper off the top of my deck right now. And hope they brick. So Uro buys me a little bit of space. Lightning Bolt does it. A second Tarmogoyf is probably my best draw. Yeah, there's 3 still in the deck, and I have 3 mana, so I can Ponder or Brainstorm into Tarmogoyf. Brazen Borrower doesn't help, it only blocks flyers. And this Wasteland is coming, so if I'm going to draw a second Tarmogoyf, it has to happen now. I'm not sure what they're thinking about now, unless they have... So they have Wasteland, Reality Smasher, and 1 mystery card in hand. See how they want to play this. Is there any reason not to replay Smasher right now? I don't think so. Unless they have Endbringer, in which case. But any creature they had, they would have cast before combat to make Mimic bigger. Okay, Ratchet Bomb. Several turns from now, they have a guaranteed win this way. Alright, that also clears out Delvers as a possible chump blocker for a turn. So I need Tarmogoyf here. Alright, well, there's Lightning Bolt. Lightning Bolt does answer Matter Reshaper, kinda. So I could take this and then just bleed out. No, I think I have to do better. Right, that wasn't better. Like, I was trying to thin outs there, but I was playing to them all the same. Oh, I guess maybe keeping Bolt makes sense, because they have to commit to the attack with Reality Smasher if they want to test if I have Bolt or not. And then I get to clear both their creatures. Yeah, I fucked up. Okay. I can live with that. But they get to waste my red source pre-combat here if they really want to check for that. Alright, let's see what you got. What are you making the attack? Or are you just waiting a turn to make sure it's super clean off Ratchet Bomb? Alright, so they didn't go after red, so they're not playing around Lightning Bolt. Oh, okay. That'll do. Alright. Got super outmuscled there. The turn where I couldn't get Hexdrinker up to 4/4 was the turn that mattered the most. So, Clothis versus Stifle. Here we are again, the age-old question. Still haven't seen a reason to play Null Rod. None of these cards look very good. I mean, Stifle can stop a Endbringer activation, or a Thought Not Seer look, or a Wasteland. That might be better than 3 mana Clothis, though Clothis being enchantment does make Tarmogoyf bigger. But I do have Sylvan Libraries as enchantment, so if I'm playing to a situation where my plan is to target a Reality Smasher with something and discard an enchantment, then that's not a good plan anyway. So yeah, I think I'm getting away from Clothis, especially on the play. I just want to be the aggressor. Okay, there's a Stifle in my deck. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, I think the Force of Wills are still good, even if they have Cavern, because I still have Wasteland. Yeah, poor Hexdrinker. You had your chance to be great. Alright, there's Hexdrinker again, with the requisite mana support this time. Okay. So, Tarmogoyfs are going to be one way. Uro is just a growth spiral. But I do have one Stifle in the deck now, so Uro can come into play. And I could not actually... Oh, I have Brazen Borrower, never mind. I was about to say I can't remove one of these, so having two of them is kind of aggro. Are they going to dismember right off the bat? Do they have a hand that powerful? Is it possible? Oh, it's just an Endless Boy. Okay. Alright, so they're going to absorb some damage off Hexdrinker with that. I'm not going to upgrade this so I can attack for 2. Yeah, opponent in the chat said go Lil Snack. We both have Lil Snacks in play, actually. It's a snake mirror match. So I can level or ponder level or just leave up a braid. I think I want to ponder. Lightning Bolt, Force of Will, Uro. Lightning Bolt has some text in this matchup. Uro got a lot worse, and Force is also not great here. So I'm not going to shuffle, and then I'm going to put a level on Hexdrinker. I want that to be larger when it matters. So I can daze a Chalice of the Void here. No, I can't. I take it all back. I can abrade Chalice of the Void. Okay, there's Chalice. You got me. So what is going to be more important going along? Okay, now that I drew Brainstorm, that becomes a pretty easy question to answer. Like, I'm gonna sit this on 2 loyalty or 2 experience right now. What are these even called? Levels? Level up? Put a level counter. All right. Because if I take it up to 3 right away, then they play Thought-Knot Seer this turn, they strip my Abrade, and I'm out of answers to Chalice of the Void. That's not where I want to be. Oh god, they're going so wide. Alright, Fork Bolt off the top, show it to me. They should probably be attacking. Yeah, okay, there it is. Okay, so Abrade, destroy target artifact, that one. That wasn't like an all-star game-ending Chalice, but it wasn't bad. That did absorb quite a lot of tempo out of me. Alright, we got a 4/4 now. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I could actually get this to Progenitus mode next turn. I'm gonna attack, see if they double block. I'll use my bolt to get the kills. Okay, Delver. Get in. Shoot a 4. Alright, so I can make this a Progenitus next turn. Yeah, I'm pushing for damage right now because they had 5 mana of uncounterable spells last turn and they didn't use any of it. So their hand must be Endbringer or some blank. Is it Endbringer? It is in fact Endbringer. So I'm gonna bolt one of these Mimics before it kills me. So there's Endbringer. That becomes a 6/6. Or 5/5, it's a 5/5. So I take 6 here. Oh, using Brainstorm to aggressively flip Delver would save me some trouble. I could also just block for 5. So I go, if I take this, I go to 11, and then they have 5, 6, 7, 8 damage on board. The daze is not good. I'm going to take this damage, and I'm going to use Brainstorm to flip Delver and hope that I also find a land so I can make a Progenitus. Alright, we did it. So, put back... How big is this? It's a 2-3. Yeah, that's not great. I'm going to put back Daze and Brainstorm. No, I'm going to put back Tarmogoyf and Brainstorm. Because if they draw a Thought-Knot Seer, I don't want them to take my Tarmogoyf. Yes, flip that. Draw. Progenitus. Now what happens? 5, 6, 7, 8. If they draw a 4, 5, 9, 10. If they draw Reality Smasher, I lose. If they draw Thought-Knot Seer, I'm fine. They're on a 2-turn clock from the Progenitus without the Insectile Aberration in the mix, so there's no reason to attack with that. Yeah, I'm just gonna hit twice with Progenitus here. I don't think they have a way to gain life. Alright, Delver is on blocking duty. And they can't ping it with Endbringer. If they do the pacifism mode, then that's 5 that's not attacking. They can't pacify this. Their best draw is Reality Smasher, so that would be 5, 10, 11. Yeah, I am dead to Reality Smasher. Walking Ballista is 1, 2, 3, 4, but I can daze a Walking Ballista, so that would hurt them. Yeah, they need Smasher here. Like Dismember doesn't get enough damage across because 5, 6, 7, 8 untap makes 9. Yeah, they need Smasher. Okay, that doesn't matter. Yeah, we did it. If there's a loss here, I don't see it. Yeah, the little snake that could. Progenitus. Alright, so we're 2-0. They can't activate this. They can't do anything. Got the GGs in the chat. Little Snack did do Little Snack things. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, untap 10. But I am just gonna block the 5, 5. But I don't even need to. Yeah, they're just dead. Whew. Alright. Outdanced Eldrazi. On to the round 3. I'm on the play in round 3 with a Delver Daze hand. Keep, keep, keep. Alright, so I want to fetch Tropical Island because if I need to cast this Bolt, I can ponder for the red source and then cast Bolt next turn. If I daze, I'm probably just going to ponder anyway because there will be nothing to bolt. If they just aggro wasteland me here, I think that is a questionable play, but it would certainly leave me in a little bit of trouble. Alright, Delver, show me the goods. Sylvan Library, bummer. So in the grand scheme of cards that flip Delver, that was among the worst of them. Because like, even if I don't flip Delver off a land, then at least I hit my land. But none of the above happened. So time to ponder. Hopefully they don't fetch in response. Oh, yuck. Come on, give me a land. Alright, got there. Alright, so now I'm holding up Stifle for this fetch land. Like the nasty little Delver boy I am. there's a lot of tension with this fetch land, because if they fetch in response to my Ponder to play around Stifle, then they might be playing into Wasteland, depending on what their mana base looks like. But if they have basics to fetch, I think they probably should have just fetched them when I didn't have Stifle up. Let's see how this goes. Now we find out if these Flooded Strands are an actual blue-white deck, or if they are just a mono-blue mana base with a bunch of duels. Wow, Force of Will, pitching Brainstorm. They really needed that. I'll take that deal. That's a Force of Will they don't have for Sylvan Library now. It's a Brainstorm they don't have to catch up to the Sylvan Library. Oh, is this Doomsday? What are you doing over there? Oh, it's not Doomsday. This is Espervile? What deck does this? Am I getting him to Teract? Ooh, that's actually pretty horrific. I'm gonna daze this. That's a pretty aggressive daze, but Baleful Strix is among the gnarliest 2-for-1s that there are. Like, Baleful Strix, its stock is way back up against these classic Little Delver decks. Okay, so they just Force of Will to Stifle, which makes me want to... I kind of want to Wasteland them, but I really want to get the Sylvan Library into play. Alright, I'm going to take them off blue. I'll hit them with the Waste. Yeah, that was a little awkward, though I think it was reasonable. Shit. Well, at least they can't play Teferi this turn. They can't play him to Teract now either. Unearth, shit. Oh, this is Callum's deck. Yeah, this matchup is probably tough. Yeah, the Unearth on the bird, real good. Glad I didn't have to do it twice though, so that was a good daze the front half. Delver still sleepy. I'll attack. I'll offer the trade here. That's a pretty easy one. Like, I'm sitting on this Tarmogoyf over here. Let's get this trade off where we can. Okay. Here's Sylvan Library. If they have counter spells, I want them to use them up before they jam Monastery Mentor, because I have Lightning Bolt. This is one of the few answers in my deck to a resolved Monastery Mentor. So I kind of hope they just tap out for Mentor here. I hope they don't tap out for Teferi here. Oh, they're gonna snap Unearth Baleful Strix? Yuck. Alright, kind of a build your own Sylvan Library. I do think Library is more powerful than that. But that is very good. They've drawn a lot of cards. They got their mileage out of that daze. And now I'm going to have to figure out what to do about this Strix with my Tarmogoyf. I'll pay for one of these. And I'll put the land on top. Like, I'm not really hungry for land drops right now. Pretty sure they're not a Stifle deck. And there might be some Wastelands in the deck, but there's not Stifles. Oh, these basics. The Zendikar Cup Island and the Onslaught Random Plains. Alright, so I'll make a move on Mentor here with this. So if they fight over that, then Lightning Bolt can clean up the fight afterwards. They have the Plow, okay. That's fine. That's just another card I can draw. So I can Lightning Bolt Baleful Strix, but I think that's bad. Like I'm pretty sure that I just need to save this bolt for Mentor, or for something that's about to actually kill me. Hey, glad I didn't bolt. Okay, this is hot. So I can just pay the max and go to 6, and then zap their shit and Uro. Or I don't have to pay the max. I can put this on top and just pay 4. So I can clear their board now, and then I have Uro ready for next turn. Hadoken. Splat. Wow, that was nice. Alright, let's see what they got. They could, if they have an Unearth, or they don't have 2 black mana, so they can't like Unearth, Snapcaster, Snap Unearth, Monastery Mentor, unless they find a black. But they do need to very quickly find an answer to Uro, because he's coming next turn. This library's been great. The classic matchup, it's 1995 again, Hymn to Turok versus Sylvan Library. I'll Vindicate the library. Alright, it's a little late for that. Green, green, blue, blue. Just moving straight in on Uro. So Flooded Strand, Wasteland. I am keeping Tarmogoyf considerations here. I want this enchantment to stay there. My opponent's going to have lands basically all the time. So my opponent's graveyard is full of juice too, so as long as I leave the enchantment, it should be fine. So do they have Force Blue card? No, they don't. I'm just going to get to Uro here. Oh, I wish I had a blue card. Like if they slow rolled Swords to Plowshares, they get to deal with Uro, but it's already drawn 2 cards. I guess it's drawn 3 cards if you count Uro coming back from the graveyard as a card off of Uro, because it's a body that just came out of the graveyard that replaced itself in my hand. So it's already a 3-for-1, even if they do answer it immediately. Alright, so they can Snap Plow. And I go to 22, and then I can play Hexdrinker and immediately get up to Protection from Instance mode, and then next turn it's a Progenitus. That went pretty well. Ooh, though if they have Land Snapcaster, Vindicate is not an instant. Right, yeah, Uro's pretty messed up. I think it's safe to stay. Oh, we got another one. I'm going to test with the Hexdrinker first, because if I can just get it up to 4/4 mode, I don't have a whole lot to worry about here. And if they like Force a Will this, I can just follow up with Uro. Wow, they did force it. Force pitching of One Mind. And then Uro. This is so fucked up. Dirty Pool. Okay, you're up. So they have a pretty small number of relevant cards they can draw. Lands a Brick. Hymn to Turok's not great here. They can't even cast it. Yeah, they can't even cast him. So that's good news. This Brainstorm, because it's from Hellbent, means that they will either be able to keep a good card or shuffle, but they can't do both right away. So let's see what good card they come up with. I hope I draw a land. I don't know if they play Daze, but I would like to play around it if I can. Up down to 23 life. Alright, what's the play? What did you find? Is it Mentor? I'm kind of relieved that they're tapping mana on their turn. That's so much nicer. Okay, yeah, Teferis, whatever. So they can bounce their own snap and start pulling ahead on cards. Alright, not interested, it seems. That's what I would have done. Land would be great. Alright, that's not a land. So I can just bring back Uro. They bounce it with Teferi, and then yeah, and then I just like have a bunch of cards. Alright, yeah, green, green, blue, blue. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Leave the enchantment for Tarmogoyf. I'm gonna do that as long as I can. If this finds a fetch land, I can bolt Teferi so they can't even bounce Uro. Alright, didn't happen. Right, so they have to bounce Uro, then I get to replay Uro, gain 3 more life, get another card. I could have bolted Teferi and played Tarmogoyf this turn. Maybe that's just better. Maybe I messed that up. And just leave Uro hanging out there in the graveyard. But I can clear Teferi this turn with Lightning Bolt. And yeah, they don't have another plow in their graveyard. Oh, bummer. They get to strip my Tarmogoyf here. That was a good draw. Or they could strip the Lightning Bolt. I guess either way, I have Teferi under pressure. But they're not in a good spot either way. They're going to lose Teferi one way or the other here. Like, they don't have... Oh, yeah, they're just backing it up. They see the writing on the wall here. Alright, cool. So we navigated that. This is a Pyroblast matchup. It is also a Klothys matchup. I like Veil of Summer quite a bit. I don't think I want Surgical. Rough Tumble can clean up some monks that get out of hand. So maybe I do want that. I'll think about bringing in one. So basically what's happening here is I'm upgrading all of my pitch counters to 1-for-1 counters. Monastery Mentor is the card I just need to maintain my respect for. Days on the draw versus days on the play, not great. Brazen Borrower. What does Brazen Borrower do? It can bounce like Teferi. It's a flash threat, but like none of their creatures are really bounceable in the deck. Like, you bounce Snapcaster Mage? Thanks. Don't think I want Surgicals. Like, I think I want to let Klothys do and Pyroblast control Snapcaster Mage. The Veil of Summer is good against discard and counters, which is the 2 interactions they normally play on. So I'm actually going to shave on days here. They asked how I did in the challenge. I didn't play it. I never play challenges. Oh, fuck. I just submitted a 67 card deck. I was trying to be nice and talk, and I forgot to take out the cards. Alright, so let's see how this 67 card deck functions. It's a pretty good opening hand, honestly. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Whatever the fuck happens here, it's gonna be fun. You should fetch. Alright, didn't want to fetch. Okay, well, I have 3 mana and a pile of bangers here. So just have to be careful not to misclick anything else. Yeah, so really the big concern if you submit a 67 card deck in your 18 card or your 19 land deck is not finding lands. And I have 3 of them, which is all that I need to function on. Like, this is gonna be wild. And I even have Veil to back up my Stifle. So we can play a game here. Yeah, they're just gonna Strix me, that's fine. Just gonna hold up this Stifle forever. And if it keeps them off this land forever, that's a deal. Right, yeah, I'm gonna cast a Tarmogoyf here. Let's 67 card deck. Wrap your head around that one. I'm always suspicious when people say anything in Moto chat. I'm like, are they trying to distract me? Are they trying to eat up the clock? Are they just being nice? And I know this person was just being nice, but at the same time, I'm like, oh, they got me. Finding the fourth land for Uro could become a challenge. Okay, so they're going for Brainstorm, which means they're even more incentivized than normal to make their move on this fetch land. And then I can make my move on my Stifle. Yeah, I'll Stifle it. What the fuck? Let's have a fight on your turn rather than on my turn. So I think Trop is more important. Yeah, getting up to the green for Uro, or like protecting Tarmogoyf with Veil of Summer are both things I'm interested in here. Oh, that just worked. A little surprised by that. I'll take it. So they can Swords to Plowshares here, but I don't care about that. So I have another Tarmogoyf, and I have Uro and Klothys lined up to cause some trouble. So if I draw a land, I think I want to go for Klothys, and if I don't, I think I want a Tarmogoyf. I can also ponder looking for lands. This is where the 67 card deck is really punishing me. Because I would have loved to find lands here. Ugh. I do have Force of Will now, so Baleful Strix isn't particularly scary. I'm just gonna pass. Yeah, it's coming back to bite me. My opening hand was pretty strong, but there just having 7 more cards to work through when I'm looking specifically for land was bad. So I have another Stifle if they find another fetch land here. Alright, that doesn't help. I can force pitching Stifle if they play like Mentor or some spell I want to beat. And I have Veil back up for that. So I hope they do commit to mana. Like if they settle into just pecking away with Baleful Strix while I don't do anything, I can fall behind, but I do want them to start playing into my spells. They're not biting. Okay, cool. Found one of these. That is something I'm interested in. So now, do I Tarmogoyf or do I Klothys? I think I might want a Tarmogoyf first. Yeah, let's get Goyf in there. I want them to run out of answers because Goyf, while thick, is pretty fragile. Like they have Goyf answered in Baleful Strix already. So any spell they spend on that is a good deal for me. So Klothys also benefits from being in play longer. Like you do need a full turn cycle to get anything out of her. I just really want to have like a big fight over a Mentor on their turn and untap with all my mana and take over. That's the game I want to play. But now that I have Tarmogoyf, they can't keep pecking with Strix, so we're at pretty much parity here. And I'm not sure who that favors given the composition of my hand. Normally, parity and long games favor Esper over a Rug Delver deck, but with the spread I have available here, that might not even be true. Okay, so I can push on an Uro, or I can push on Klothys. I do have Force of Will and Veil of Summer back up here. Yeah, I'm going to make my move on Clothis. The way I tapped, especially because I've had to fetch to do it, shows Veil of Summer instead of Pyroblast. So just watch out for that. They know I don't have Pyroblast right now. Let's hope this lady sticks, though. Oh, she's in there. So now they don't get to just sit around forever anymore. They will bleed out to this. Vindicate can't kill it. And I have Force plus Veil backup. Like, this can be just to protect the Queen around Clothis from here on out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 spells in the graveyard right now. There's about to be more. So this is going to force the action, like moving in on... Alright, so Teferi can bounce. This is a counterable card. Please force back. Oh, didn't force back. Exciting. Yeah, so that means I get to keep my Veil for a future Vindicate or whatever. So Brainstorm, Plow, Ponder. Yeah, I'm going to eat the Plow from their graveyard. Because now I have to start considering Snapcaster Mages and what does this game look like going long, and it involves Uro. So I could also Hex Drinker and just level up to 3 right now. They are showing Swords to Plowshares. Though, if they plow here, that's a plow they don't have for Uro, so that's a deal. And this will be a Progenitus in 2 turns. Like, next turn it will be Progenitus if they don't answer it. And this is all just a distraction for Clothis to win the game. Alright, sure. There's your plow. You got it. It'll 4 mana, make them discard Swords to Plowshares. And I'm not going to offer the trade of Tarmogoyf for Baleful Strix at any point, because Tarmogoyf can at least contest a Monastery Mentor in play. Though that Teferi last turn was a really good check of my hand to stick Mentor. And Mentor can win this game for them. Mentor can always win the game for you. It is the best card. They know I don't have Stifle now. Snapcaster Mage. Alright, this is going to get that Swords to Plowshares. At least I imagine, unless their hand sucks. Yeah, okay. So they're going to plow Goyf. So they plowed Hex Drinker, they plowed Tarmogoyf, now Uro is waiting in the wings. That was the line I described 2 turns ago, and it is coming to fruition. I'm at 24 life. They're taking 2 damage a turn, and I'm taking 1 damage a turn with the current board state. That was a really good of 1 mind. If they start stringing those together, I could fall behind quickly. Yeah, you definitely have an attack here. So I'm going to exile of 1 mind from the graveyard. That's a scary one to flashback. This Rough Tumble is pretty good. It only kills Snapcaster, though. Maybe I'll Uro and see what happens. Okay, so I actually have to save the Rough Tumble for Mentor. I don't get to mess around with that. I was about to use Rough Tumble to take 2 damage off the board. Stop it. I'm winning that race already. I have to beat Monastery Mentor. I have Veil that can stop discard spells from clearing the way. There he is. Now I gotta hope that they commit a whole bunch of spells right now and get their hand empty, because I really don't want to have to... Alright, well, Uro's gone. Can't do anything about that. Veil of Summer doesn't stop Surgical Extraction. So now they're going to see exactly what's in my hand. They see what I got going on here, that I have Rough Tumble with 2 layers of protection. So this Mentor survives just with any instant in their hand. The Mentor lives, and Mentor will race Klothys going long. I only brought in 1 Rough Tumble, I think. Yeah, the other one's still on the board. So my best draw is something like Lightning Bolt that can finish off the Mentor for good. So they don't want to cast too many spells here. What is this, Baleful Strix? Oh wow, they're just giving me the Mentor. Yeah, I guess if you don't have an instant to cast, then getting the second flying creature in play is important, because that'll survive the Rough Tumble. Yeah, now they have to Force of Will to save their Mentor. And that's just the Prowess trigger. So I think that I want to exile Brainstorm now. I want to get instants out of the graveyard when they can't snap them back. That's my thought process there. I don't want to tumble, I want to rough. Alright, do they have the Force of Will? That's ramming a 2-for-1 straight into Veil of Summer, but it does save the Mentor. Alright, 1 Mentor down. Wasteland, Brainstorm, Delver. I'll take a Delver. So here's Delver, and I can fetch for Veil of Summer or Pyroblast as needed, and Delver's gonna flip to a Brainstorm. And I'm not sure how important any of that is. Basically, all I'm doing is buying time for Klothys to work. If they have a second Mentor, I'm in trouble. That does the trick. And it's not blue, and it doesn't target me for Veil, so that was a very good Mentor, and I'm going to lose to that. Yikes. Okay. Oh, I could have exiled Mentor. I just did not. Oh no, I couldn't, because that happened in my main phase. All right, yeah. All right, so I have to remember for Klothys in game 3, if there is one, that they have Unearth in their deck. So, but there hasn't been a situation where that would have mattered. There is a Snapcaster in the graveyard right now. I'll eat that based on that information. So, time to Brainstorm. These 2 don't matter anymore. Delver. Right, so that might leave some doubt of what's in my hand, though these are 2 really good spells to leave in my hand, so I doubt I'm going to fool them. Oh, I've 1 mind. I think I should Pyroblast that. Yeah, just the velocity with Mentor is what I have to be overcoming now. I have gained a lot of life from Swords to Plowshares and Clothis, but I gotta survive 4 more untap steps, or 4 more main phases. And they can plow one of their own creatures at any point to mess up my math. Indicate. That's a black card. Oh shit, I was just supposed to fetch. I didn't want that. I'm supposed to fetch then Vindicate. I'm playing badly. Well, now my hand is empty. Yeah, I needed to fetch there. That was just really terrible. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay, they're leaving back Strix, so Delver can't chunk. That makes sense. It didn't even occur to me that I could still attack with my creature. The Wasteland's on top of my deck that I don't want. I didn't want this Volcanic Island either, but I'm playing bad. Alright, show me Forked Bolt. Nope, got the Wasteland anyway. I'm gonna exile Swords to Plowshares from the graveyard. I really don't want them to get a good plow off on one of their own creatures and save the day. They do have 1 card left in hand, so it's possible that they could just run out of gas. And 21 is a lot of damage, but Mentor can create a lot of damage. A cantrip is the worst thing for me, like just ponder. Ugh. I never learn. I'm always like, this would be the worst thing, then they have it. Yeah, so just ponder into ponder into ponder, GG is what they're looking at here. Though, going into the next game, they are under 7 minutes on the clock to my 13. So there's a lot of play here. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 damage. Alright, race is on. Show me a Lightning Bolt. Or Fork Bolt is even better. Alright, Delver's not great. Alright, so Delver is going to be on chump duty. Just absorbing damage here. Though they might not be able to attack with the Strixes. So if maybe I don't block. It'll depend on how much damage they can produce. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They need 2 spells to make their monk army lethal. If they attack with the Strixes, I'll block Mentor. Right, do I double block Mentor? If they have 2 instants, I lose. But I'm not going to block because my out here is flipping Lightning Bolt or Forked Bolt and being able to attack through the Strix. But if they have 2 instants, I just lose, and that's fine. I've done what I can. Lightning Bolt, Fork Bolt, Pyroblast. All get lethal across the board. Alright, they're extracting my Pyroblasts. Or my Lightning Bolts. Let's see. Or no, that was Pyroblast. Okay. Let's see if they have a second instant here. Because if I chump with a Delver, then I have to draw exactly Forked Bolt to win, or Lightning Bolt, rather than Pyroblast also. Alright, this is the chance. Show me. Alright, Ponder, we get another spin. Alright, so exile Vindicate. I'm not going to target an instant here and get blown out. Shuffle. 1 more spin. 1 more spin. They said no bolt in the chat, so I don't think they have anything. No, no bolt is right. I had so many opportunities there. And Clothis was one turn away. Alright, so I don't think I can absorb as much damage as I need to. They just turn all their shit sideways and I lose. Yeah, that was super tight. I'm going to give them the chance to mess up somehow. Oh, alright, yeah, they're not going to mess up now. Maybe I can see more of their deck, but they should just go to combat for clock considerations. Wait, what? They didn't attack? Oh shit. I was so confused by them not attacking. I'm gonna concede. Yeah, they should have just attacked. They had it. It's whatever. Yeah, they clicked through their attack step, but I'm not gonna play to that. Okay, so I definitely want both Rough Tumbles in the deck now that I've seen, or now that I remember that they're an Unearthed deck and like Mentor is kind of the whole plan. So Veil was good, Stifle was not great, and they played around it pretty well. So on the play, Daze is a lot better, and I have all my counterspells in anyway. Brazen Borrower is an awkward one because, like, if they don't have Baleful Strix, it's a pretty steady chunk of damage, but if they do, it's terrible. I think 1 is probably the right number of that card to have. I could bring in Ancient Grudge, which, like, 2 for 1s in a way that can line up with Baleful Strix, but it only works if they have 2 Baleful Strix, because they don't have a ton of artifacts. So... Oh, right. I have to cut all the cards. Jesus. I almost submitted 67 again. Holy shit. Forgot all about that. I forgot I was even running a 67 card deck. Yikes. Okay. Wow. And I just spent like a full minute and a half just talking about nothing. So I think I want Force of Will, Daze, Clothis. Oh my god, that was close. Stifle on the play is better than Stifle on the draw. I might not need this many Pyroblasts. It actually wasn't that good. Most of their good spells are blue or white, or black or white. So Forces, Dazes. On the play, Daze is better. Orc Bolt is really good. Yeah, I'm just sort of panic boarding now. Like, I don't even know if this is right, but I think I like Daze better than Force on the play. So if the game goes long, it's the opposite. Alright, I'm gonna do this. And I will fully admit, this is not a fully baked plan because I just freaked out remembering I had 67 cards in my deck. We were actually... Oh, also, just running the numbers, that last turn where we were frantically digging for an out, having 7 less bricks in the deck would have been a big help. What the fuck? Alright, so I'm gonna pass and leave up Veil of Summer. Hopefully they give some respect to Stifle. Alright, it's not a fetch land anyway, but I was hoping that they would pay some respect to Stifle, and I also was playing around Inquisition of Kozilek here. So I'm going to ponder off of a red land, trying to find a green land here. Alright, yeah, that's good. And both of those cards on top of my deck are pretty reasonable. So I can waste and then... Yeah, I'm not going to daze this thing. I don't think I want that Hex Drinker in my hand. And I'm not going to get the Clothis either way. Okay, so actually Hex Drinker seems fine. Is it fine? Or do I want more mana? Yeah, I'm gonna fetch actually. So get a trop. Draw. Oh, rewarded. I'm just gonna beat up on their resources over there. Get this Goyf into play. Now I have Goyf in play, backed up by Daze. Clothis plus Goyf is an awkward combo, but that's okay. Alright, double blue is not where they want to be in their Esper deck. Alright, so I think I want to Lightning Bolt Baleful Strix. So maybe I should ponder first and figure out if that is the best plan. If I find like Forked Bolt, I wish I did that instead. Okay, this is bonkers. So I will Lightning Bolt the Strix and just start beating down here. Like my Dazes are gonna control any Monastery Mentor business. And that's the card I would save Bolt for, so just pushing for damage when they're clearly struggling. Oh, that's really good. I can't double Daze a Plow here. But I have Sylvan Library into second Goyf. On lock. Ugh. The Unearth. Now that makes that Bolt look really embarrassing. But okay, so my plan to cheese them out isn't going to work. So I'm going to pivot onto the Sylvan Library Go Nuts version. So I can play Library backed by Veil of Summer here and Double Daze, but Veil is going to be the important one. Or not. There's a second Tarmogoyf on top of my deck. I'm going to see what they do on their turn before I decide if I want that Goyf or not. Uh-oh, they found double black. Please cast Vindicate. Monastery Mentor. Alright, I think I just have to double Daze here. Because that's one of the few ways they can win the game. Both like in general and in the time that they have. Alright, so second Tarmogoyf actually doesn't seem like the worst thing now that I'm stuck on 2 mana. Yeah, let's keep all of it. So I'm going to cast Tarmogoyf. And I'm not going to attack yet, because if I can line up a removal spell for this Strix and just blast with Tarmogoyf all at once, that's going to be better than just sacrificing one for no damage. And Sylvan Library can keep the goods coming. Oh god, another Mentor. This is where the wheels come off. But I do have both my Rough Tumbles in of one mind. Wow. Callum is too smart. Who let him design legacy decks? I actually played this deck my opponent's playing a week or two ago on the channel. It's called, I called it Esper Mentor. It was a pretty great league if you want to check it out. Fatal Push. Wow, that's so much better than Swords to Plowshares would be. Alright, so I gotta find a Rough Tumble. Yeah, taking that aggro line with Sylvan Library just drawing a million is coming back to bite me here. Because now I'm in real danger of death from the Monastery Mentor. Yeah, this is bad. I can't afford to pay 4 life for anything. Hopefully these moats hold. So do I play out the Delver, or do I hold up Veil of Summer? I think I play Delver. Yeah, Tarmogoyf on blocking duty is also not bad. Especially with an opponent with 1:45 on their clock. Yeah, 4/5 Goyf. Mentor is 3. Another spell would make it 4. They need 3 spells to attack through Tarmogoyf with Mentor. So they have 5 cards in hand, and they're in the middle of resolving a Ponder. So I think I messed up this game somewhere. Yeah, maybe I wasn't supposed to bolt the Baleful Strix, and I was just supposed to sit on Bolt for Mentor. Like, I really thought that I would be able to cheese damage when they missed their land drop, but then they found the black source immediately, which brought back the Strix, which found the Mentor, and yeah, I should have settled into my control role, knowing that Sylvan Library was coming. Ugh. Clearly have more spells here. Oh, they just floated white and then cast Ponder. That makes me really nervous. So Mentor is big enough to attack now. And Swords to Plowshares would blow out a double block. One more spell and the monks are big enough to attack as well. Yeah, they are out of time too. I think they're winning this game, but my yeah, so I would be digging to Rough Tumble, basically. So yeah, they timed out. Let me check what my top cards would have looked like. Alright, come on, Moto. Load it up. Alright, maybe Magic Online's not gonna let me draw my next cards. Okay, we'll never know. On to the next round. I'm on the draw for the first time in the league. I'm gonna keep this hand. It's a 1-lander with Ponder, Threat Daze. Like, what do you want out of a Delver deck? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. This matchup can be a tough one. So I have to bolt Mother right now, or I'm never bolting anything. If they follow this up with Wasteland, I'm probably dead. I have a little bit of playthrough at Rashad Port. I can Daze Athalia, but Wasteland would shut it down. Ugh. Please cast Thalia. Yes, thank you. Oh my god. Yeah, just cracking the Wasteland there would have shut me down, but now I have a chance to ponder looking for the additional land drops. Just 3 lands off this ponder, please. Oh god, 0. Okay. We're still breathing. Yeah, on the draw against Death and Taxes with a draw that good, with Mother into Wasteland backed by Thalia, like that, this is trouble. Interesting. Why? Oh, because they can flicker their Wasteland. Yeah, so I might as well Daze, because I'm getting flickered, and I'm going to get wasted anyway. Yeah, there is no value to not doing that. So I'll get Hex Drinker into play now, just have something on the board. I could have just floated the fetch land out and tried to play a 2-mana spell in the future, but I'm going to have to work through this wasteland eventually, and if I can do it while deploying a 1-drop, that's a better situation for me. Oh god. They have so many wastelands. Alright, so Recruiter can go get Flicker Wisp, and then they can just go off and draw their deck. Unless they have something stronger, like Sanctum Prelate on 1 to just end the game on the spot. Though Brazen Borrower can answer Sanctum Prelate, assuming I have any lands to cast spells with. Yeah, so Rough Tumble comes in this matchup. Yep, brutal. Stifle is really good in this matchup too, like if stifling a wasteland. So I can try to ponder my way into more lands, or I can just play wasteland. I could like waste their waste. Though I think ponder is probably better. If I find like 2 lands and a Force of Will, alright, that's not what I wanted. Should have been more specific, not wasteland. Okay. Rewarded. Yeah, it's also just like always mildly tilting playing against Death and Taxes, because having a hand with 2 wastelands in your top 10 cards is just like, that's where they were in your deck. Like, good job drawing 2 wastelands. You did nothing to control that. You didn't cantrip. You did no work at all. They just happened to line up. Good thing you're not playing against Blue-White Miracles. Stoneforge Mystic is going to resolve. Maybe they're out of land drops. What do we say? Okay, so they are actually out of land drops here. That's a relief. So I can play Wasteland and level up Hexdrinker and then get it up to level 4 next turn. I can Brazen Borrower to bounce the Germ at some point. Yeah, I just don't want to... I don't want to hang out another colored source. I don't think they would have blocked if I attacked there. Like, just strand the Batterskull in their hand when they have 2 lands. Yeah, I think I probably just missed 2 damage. And if I didn't miss 2 damage, then... Okay, they're playing around Stifle right now by doing this main phase. Makes sense. Oh, Tarmogoyf, you are a 4/5. Okay, so we're going to skip the leveling of Hexdrinker. Just go straight to 4/5 Tarmogoyf. That's bigger than Batterskull. Alright, let's see if they have a Swords to Plowshare still in the tank over there. Oh, hitting their land drop sucks. Now they can Flicker Wisp or Sanctum Prelate and or Recruiter the Guard. Alright, that's plowed. That undoes 1 Batterskull attack though, so that's fine. It's a deal. There are 1, 2. There's 1 tropical island in my graveyard. Okay, so I can still actually cast Uro. It can be done. This mother is a problem. So I can try to brainstorm here. Yeah, I think brainstorm is the way to start this turn. Sylvan Library. Am I going to have time for that? Does Days have any text anymore? Do I just want to keep all these lands for Uro and try to overpower that way? I didn't find an answer to Mother. I can bounce Mother with Brazen Borrower and try to buy a little time that way. I think Sylvan Library and Days are the worst cards here. So I guess now the question is, do I bounce Mother or do I bounce Germ? think I bounced Germ. Yeah, so that'll take them multiple turns to get that back into play. And I can Uro plus level Hex Drinker this coming turn. 4 mana. Do I want them to draw lands at this point, or what? Oh, geez, they have Sword of Fire and Ice in their hand. Fuck. So I have to chump that with Hex Drinker. Or else I'm just going to lose Hex Drinker and they get to draw a card anyway. Yeah, it turns out that drawing that land there was still good. Another Hex Drinker is not what I want, so Uro's going to have to just overpower their entire deck here. So that Flooded Strand came into play off of Uro, so I do still have a land drop, so I can Brainstorm here. All of these cards that would have been good on previous turns. So Hex Drinker is just bad at this point. I can top deck the Forked Bolt, I guess. Yeah, none of this matters. And now I'm Brainstorm locked off of getting Uro into play. Just having Sword of Fire and Ice and drawing the land there. Once again, just Death and Taxes doing Death and Taxes stuff. You're always just a little bit behind. And this is one of the harder matchups, too. So I'm going to play it out because the clock does matter a lot in this matchup. I'm going to let them take their time. I want to get a couple minutes ahead before we go into game 2. I really wish Fork Bolt did anything. I guess it hits Mother and Flicker Wisp now, but I'm going to be dead a lot faster than that. Do I even show them Fork Bolt? Because this game is over. But I guess they can't really play around Fork Bolt anyway. It's not an instant, unfortunately. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, they actually just have a lethal attack anyway. Yeah, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, if they turn Stoneforge sideways, I lose. And I'm still Brainstorm locked, so I lose anyway. Okay, so this can't block, and I'm taking 10, but this gives them the opportunity to shoot my Brazen Borrower instead of me with Sword of Fire and Ice. I'll give them the opportunity to misplay, and they didn't take it. They're able to count to 2. Alright. I'm up by 45 seconds, so that was actually pretty close. Right, Abrade and Ancient Grudge come in here for sure. Dismember, Null Rod, the Rough Tumbles, Force Negation comes out. Brazen Borrower has some options. We'll see if I end up wanting that or not. I don't want all my forces, but I do want some. So I'll start at 3 and then see how this shakes out. Days on the play is alright. I don't know how many I want. Or actually, less force, more days on the play. Then I'll flip it on the draw. So 2 more cards gotta go. Sylvan Library is good. Stifle does a lot in this matchup. But it is a later game card. Okay, you're not going to get a fetch land with it. You're going to get like a Flicker Wisp trigger with it. So maybe one less Stifle. Or it also hits Wasteland though. So the old defensive Stifle. Maybe I want less Uro in this matchup because they're very good at answering it. Their deck has 3 Caracas in it. They can just bounce it infinitely. And if I'm playing to a late game, I'm not going to win. So these are all definitely out. And then I guess the question is, do I want Brazen Borrower? It is a flash flying threat and also a permanent, an answer to a permanent. So I probably do want it. And all right, one less Stifle, I guess. That seems like the highest variance card that's still left in the deck. All right, this is my plan. I would like to play first. I'll keep this. Delver, Bolt, Bolt, Force of Will. And I would like another land, but I'm not going to ship a hand like this on the play. What do I force? Do I force an Aether Vial? I definitely don't force Mother. I have Bolt for that. Do I want to aggro flip Delver right now? I don't think so. So I want to Brainstorm. I want to hit my second land. All right, I did hit my second land, found Daze also. That's actually really good. So if I put back Brazen Borrower and Lightning Bolt, that will flip Delver. Maybe I just want to go face. Like 2 Delver attacks. I'll offer the trade with Mom here. Yeah, that's free damage, free money. So Delver deals 6, deals 6. Like I daze their play, I force their play. Delver's attack for 6/6, bolts deal another 6. Force of Will. I am on the full just aggro Delver plan here. I want them dead to what is currently in front of me. So I can cast all 3 spells in my hand, and I'm chunking in for 6. 6 plus 6 plus 6 is only 18, so they're actually, I need to find 1 more damage somewhere. And my next card down is Brazen Borrower. I hope they just like Flicker Wisp or something. Another plow would be kind of a beating. Have to exile. Okay, yes, I would like to do that because I don't actually want that. I don't have a basic, but I don't want that Brazen Borrower. Okay, you've cast 2 of your 5 removal spells in your top 3 cards of your deck, or your top 10 cards of your deck. Are you going to continue to have them, or can we play a normal game? I'll hardcast Daze, because keeping your lands under you is important for this matchup. So they did just take a huge chunk out of my clock. Stifle's probably going to be pretty good. Wish I had Stifle, and I didn't have to spend the days on the Stoneforge Mystic, but they probably just have Batterskull in their hand already, and it doesn't matter. If they have another removal spell here, I mean, what the fuck ever. Okay, I can Stifle the Equip trigger next turn. So it's time to throw some Lightning Bolts. Do I throw both? I don't think so. All right, Dismember is very good. Okay, so if they equip Mother of Runes and attack, I can dismember it. And then I'm still holding Stifle. And they are dead right now, so they need to remove Delver this turn. Alright, so that's fine. Once it attacks, it can't defend itself anymore. Okay, stress time. Do they have Swords to Plowshares or not? Please just like cast Aether Vial. Ooh, you're not going to be able to tap that. So this is just draw a card on the silent clearing. Brainstorm can dig for burn or counter spells as needed. If this connects, though, we just win. Okay, cool. Yeah, I wanted them to commit to something in case they had some trick. I don't know, like some way to gain life at instant speed. I wanted to make them commit to that first. Okay, so that was a Delver punching across the finish line game. So Daze gets worse on the draw. Force of Will is better. It's still a Hymn to Turok, but it's better than losing. Is it? What is the cut now? Do I just go to 1 Daze? Or do I lose a Brazen Borrower? I think I go to 1 Daze. Yeah, this looks like a deck to me. This is definitely the hardest matchup we've had yet. Snap keep this one. I don't have much insulation against a Wasteland draw, but this is pretty solid. The first Aether Vial of the match. I do have Ancient Grudge in my hand this time, though. Alright, so Delver, get out there. Yeah, this will be a dance of who can, if they can leverage Aether Vial fast enough that I can't pick it off. Jesus. Alright, well, that's going to be pretty good. Wasteland removal spell. Okie dokie. And let's just hope that the hand doesn't keep delivering bangers. I think that pondering looking for more land drops here is going to be better than playing a fetch land and just hoping that things work out. Because now I've lined up my next 4 land drops. If they have Mother, I think that's mostly okay. Because at some point they're going to have to decide between Mother and some other creatures with Rough Tumble. So this has been a really good hand. The Aether Vial is going to let them just go nuts with Wastelands. So Thalia can play around Force or Daze here. Alright, I did not have either of those though, so that's okay. Alright, yeah, I'm just going to pass here. I can Brainstorm in the end step. And then, depending on what they do, I can either leave up Ancient Grudge or hang them into a Rough Tumble. I think destroying Aether Vial is going to be the earlier priority, though. So my top card is Wasteland. I am probably going to fetch and just not cast Brainstorm. Okay, so this is going to line up all right, I think. They have 3 cards in their hand. Some sort of Fire and Ice. Yeah, I don't want Wasteland here. Get another red. I'm not going to Brainstorm here either. So I think I'm just going to pass with 3 mana up. If they activate Aether Vial in the end step, I'll have more information. And if they don't, I'll just hit it in their upkeep. Yeah, they don't have the mana to get Sword into play and attack this turn. So I'm gonna grudge the Vial. And this hangs the grudge out so they know it's in my graveyard for their equipment. And then Rough Tumble does destroy everything they have in play. So they can Flicker Wisp here and decide if they want to save their Aether Vial or if they want to get another trigger out of Stoneforge. Like, what do you want to do with this Wisp? How long of a game are you planning for? All right, cool. So they save their Aether Vial with that, which is fine because resetting it back down to 0 is fine for a turn 5 play. And then that puts the Flicker Wisp into play as another thing that's going to get roughed up. So I have to rough this turn. And then they'll be in a really interesting position of saving Thalia or Mother of Runes. Because if they save Thalia, they can connect with Sword of Fire and Ice next turn, but then they lose their Mother. I will not make it obvious that I have green mana. That's my plan. See if they make decisions based on me having no mana. So they're going to put in Sword of Fire and Ice in response. And then we'll see what creature they want to save. I think it's pretty obvious that you save Thalia here, even without knowing what I have available. Because that is the best creature you have. Oh, they saved the mom. Nice. Alright, Flicker Wisp has flying. My bad. So now I can grudge the Sword of Fire and Ice, but I'm going to make them commit to equip mana first. Just really glad that Thalia is gone. This line commits me to having only 1 red mana in play, which exposes me to Wasteland, but I think the upside was there for it. Okay, the immediate danger is off the table. So now it's time for Uro to take over this game. Thalia is unlocked. I have Force of Will. There's an Abrade somewhere for this Aether Vial and 2 Brazen Borrowers. Do I ponder first? No, I'll have more information if I Uro first. Okay, so Uro puts that in. I can ponder now. Oh, another Rough Tumble, but that doesn't do anything, as we just discovered. I could get Hex Shrinker into play. And just back it up with Force of Will. Yeah, I think that's fine. Just having multiple threats, because the way they played this game makes me think that Swords to Plowshares is a card in their hand. Like, that would just make sense based on what we've seen. Even get to put a level on it now. Okay, so I have Force of Will protecting Uro and Hexdrinker to get this game done versus Mother of Runes and Aether Vial. Like, Rest in Peace would be a scary card, but I have the Force, so I'm good there. Alright, if they plowed that knowing that Uro is here, then they must have a second one. Or I guess they can just Flicker Wisp an Uro and that resets it pretty hard. Alright, Uro's coming back. Ooh, Tarmogoyf to go with it. Green, green, blue, blue. 1. They have lands in their graveyard and instants. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll just exile my lands first. Oh, okay. So now I have Tarmogoyf and Uro backed by Force of Will. Time to overpower this Mother of Runes. And I will absolutely Force of Will a Swords to Plowshares here. Oh god, what's this thing? It's a Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. The Batter Skull is still in the deck. That is true. Is Jitte better? Probably not. Yeah, it's just Batter Skull. Okay. Now this Vial back on 3, so their plan to save Vial 4 turns ago is coming to fruition because now they can flicker my Uro, and that, while it does let me draw another card and gain more life, it does get the 6/6 immediately off their back. And I would rather have Brainstorm than Delver at this point in the game. Because I want to just keep the juice flowing. Alright, I have Wasteland for that Rishadan port, if that becomes a thing I care about. Though I suspect they want to use it to put Batterskull in this turn. Because I have some thick boys over here. Oh, if they do Rishadan port me, I don't even care. That's fine. Alright, this is great. Lightning Bolt, phenomenal draw. So I'm just going to waste them to get control of the pace of this game. And then I'm going to smash with both my creatures, which gives me Lightning Bolt from other runes. I go to 13, they have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, let's just crunch. And I would make this attack even if I didn't have Lightning Bolt. Oh god, Forked Bolt is fucked up. But I only have 1 red, so I think that's still okay. So I think they'll block Uro with the Germ, give the Germ Pro whatever, because that gains them the most life. Alright, do you let the Germ die or do you lose your Mother and your Wisp? Alright, cool. I think they made the correct play. I'm just going to have the blowout. So I want to Brainstorm first. See what I'm working with here. Another Tarmogoyf. I have nothing to go with this Force of Will. So yeah, I want to get the other Goyf into play. Bang, bang. That's huge. It takes out their flyer and their protection spell. Alright, nice. This is a stable board, folks. They're 2 mana away from Cataclysm or Gideon. Like, that just didn't materialize quickly. Alright, Council's Judgment can get rid of Uro. Sure, but Tarmogoyf is still the king of the castle. I'm drawing Sylvan Library here? Yeah, alright. Keep on bashing. Alright, so Lightning Bolt, just leaving this up, catches a lot of things that could have come off the Aether Vial. Like them being Hellbent's pretty nice. The Germ does get to chunk. My Abrade will go a long way here. Maybe I'm supposed to attack with just 1 Tarmogoyf. Yeah, that's probably true. Okay, so they drew either an irrelevant land, or a 3-drop, or a 4-drop. Like, they're either vialing something in, or they just have a blank in their hand. Okay, so I don't need 2 Lightning Bolts. Put that on top of the library. Do I want Force of Will? Ah, shit. I stacked this backwards. Alright, so I guess it doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to attack with one Tarmogoyf this time. They're 5s. Actually, yeah, if they don't block, they lose. Yeah, so now they're dead to bolt. Oh no, you drew Plow. Alright, maybe I did want Force of Will. Alright, so they're going to end up taking 1 net damage off of that attack. Alright, Delver plus Bolt, pretty solid. They draw a card, that's less mana they have, though it is more... The Aether Vial is scary. Like, I would be 100% confident that I had this game locked if not for Aether Vial, but there's still shit that can happen with Vial around. I do like that the Sylvan Library lets me show them Force of Will, but then actually have a different card in my hand. Off the Delver. Uh-oh. So is bolting Stoneforge Mystic or Face better? So 4, 7. Yeah, I think bolting Mystic is better. Because, like, chump blocking Tarmogoyf is worth 5 damage versus going face for 3. And this way, if they top deck some other equipment, it's not going to matter. Wasteland Lightning Bolt. Alright, put on top. And I'll pay 4 life for this one. So 5, yeah, just get in with Delver. I actually lose to Flicker Wisp here. So I guess I just have to hope they don't have it. Okay, good. Dodged. So now I have an attack that they have to block next turn. It's a forced block, and I can hardcast Force of Will. That land doesn't matter because anything they could have done for 3 mana they would have done off Aether Vial. Right, there's 2 fresh cards here. Right, Tarmogoyf is good. Top. Yeah, now I can attack pretty recklessly. Like, my attack is lethal, so they have to block. If their hand doesn't do anything, they have to block. Okay. Starting to feel pretty comfortable. So anytime I say that, I lose. But these Tarmogoyfs, I am pretty far ahead. If this Aether Vial had something to put in, it would have done it by now. So I guess, like, probably, alright. Now they have 4 mana. Okay, we did it. Wow, that was scrappy. That was a really good match. We got shithouse game 1, we kind of shithoused them game 2, and then we had a really good one game 3. Alright, 4-0. Maybe this is the best deck in Legacy. On to the next round. Alright, I'm on the draw here in the final round for the trophy. I think I'm going to keep. This is the kind of hand that you just lose if you're in a Delver Mirror. But if I'm against combo, it's literally the dream. And haven't played against combo yet this league, so I'm just going to Spider Sense this. But in all seriousness, I have land Ponder. That can do a lot of heavy lifting if it has to. But I'm just going to really hope that Force of Will is something I want in this matchup. Windswept Heath is a bad start to wanting Force of Will in a matchup. But Lightning Bolt is a good thing against Windswept Heath most of the time. I think I want to get a Trop and Ponder. This leaves Ponder, Lightning Bolt, an option for next turn. I think Uro is something I want in this matchup too. Just generally speaking. I also think that in just the way that my hand is lining up, that I'm gonna like 2-for-1 myself at least once in the early turns. Having Uro to pick that up later makes a lot of sense to sculpt a game plan around that. I'm not gonna counter that. So Force of Negation is probably gonna be good against whatever this Mox Diamond deck is. Like if I can counter a Loam with it, that'll be great. Or a Punishing Fire. So Blast Zone. It gotta be either straight up lands or 4-color Loam, because Delver or Depths doesn't play that card. So I can run out this Wasteland and just make sure I don't lose immediately. Or I should probably ponder first. Yeah, I'll ponder and then see what this looks like. Daze, Flooded Strand. I do want this land. Alright, so I have Wasteland and multiple pieces of free counter magic, so I'm unlikely to lose to Dark Depths this turn, and I'm ready to pivot into Uro, hit an extra land drop. It's on you. And Daze is an easy pitch to one of the forces. That's why I kept that in the hand over Ponder. Because I'll get the Ponder eventually. Fuck. Okay, Liliana. I'm going to Force of Will this because I want to save negation for a Loam. Certainly have a lot of lands over there. A lot of different colors of lands. Yeah, so I'm going to spew the Uro into play right now, and then I can figure out what I want to do next turn. They only have 2 cards left, and I have a counter still left in my hand. Maybe I'm supposed to just get mono tropical islands. Uro. They saw me pitch Daze, so they should be able to figure out that I'm a Delver deck, even though I haven't really shown them anything. And this Brazen Borrower is really good against both Merit Lage and Mox Diamond. So I'm kind of hoping they think like, oh no. Okay. They just had Bajuka Bog in their hand. Is what it is. Could have been worse. That was still a cantrip. And Brazen Borrower is still a good card. Yeah, I've already shuffled, so I don't know the top of my deck anymore. Delver, let's go. And then I have Brazen Borrower waiting in the wings. I can quickly present damage in 6-point chunks here. I can hardcast Force of Negation if they go for a Loam, and then I still have Force of Will. If they do nothing, I'll just Brazen Borrower. There's no reason to bounce the Mox Diamond. They have so much mana. Alright, all the chips are down. There's my Volcanic Island. You know that I'm Rug Delver now. Alright, so let's flip this thing. Volcanic Island. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Alright, I'm going to play out this land though. That'll show them that I have Force of Will if they're paying attention. They could fetch Dryad Arbor to block my Delver with, but I'll Lightning Bolt that if they do. I think Lightning Bolt is better than using Wasteland there, because Wasteland can hit something like Dark Depths or try to color screw them or something, but Lightning Bolt is only good for putting damage on their face. This is where they cast Dark Confidant and just make me look silly for saying that. Alright, Delver, show me some love. Okay, so they're definitely a Punishing Fire deck. I suspected they were, but now it's confirmed. Yes. All right. Let's get to work. These are the games that I really enjoy being a Delver deck in. Like, my opponent is trying to assemble a contraption, but I'm just not letting them. So they probably think P-Fire is pretty great here if they have it, but my Force of Negation that I have been sitting on the whole game. Alright, that one I can't counter. That's a 1-for-1 on a card that already dealt you a bunch of damage, so that's a deal. Like, the onus is completely on them to not die here. Chalice on 1. I think that's worth Force of Willing. And I still have blue card if their last card in hand is like the loam they've been slow rolling. Oh, Maze of Ith, sure. Good thing I have Wasteland in my deck. That's why I didn't Wasteland Dryad Arbor. Because there are better lands out there. So I can... They are currently Hellbent. I think I would rather get Hex Drinker straight up to 4/4 than hold up hard casting my Force, because I can still pitch cast if I need to, and they're in just full top deck mode over there. And this is going to be a Progenitus next turn. They are actually dead on board. With one draw step to roll them all. What you got? An Abrupt Decay would let them survive another turn, but most things don't matter. It's a good thing they cast that Chalice in the late game. I like to believe I would have remembered it. Okay, they're dead. This actually buys them a turn if they crack it off now. But if they don't, they just lose. Alright, I mean, they drew a card that bought them a turn and decided not to use it, so... Oh wait, no, this goes to level 8. Oh, yeah. Alright, I thought it was 7. I'm one short. So I'll just put a couple levels on it. Alright, they're smarter than me. What are you going to do? But this Delver is going to be smarter than everyone. And I'm not going to cast Brainstorm. Might as well just get another level on this. Alright, here we are. Force of Negation versus the top of their deck. Alright, yeah, they're dead. Okay, yeah, that was a pretty clean Delver game. Okay, so in general, I believe that the cards I'm worried about out of them is Chalice of the Void, and that's it. So a Braid and Ancient Grudge are coming in. Brazen Borrower is coming in. I might want one Rough Tumble, though, because they probably have Dark Confidants and stuff in their deck, but I don't know how much I want to play around that before I see it. I think Daze is going to be pretty bad against them. I like Veil of Summer because one of their primary ways to interact is Abrupt Decay. Surgical Extraction is going to be important for both Loam and Punishing Fire. I'm starting to get a lot of cards I'm bringing in here, though. Force of Will. I can shave on those and just try to play to the board more. I want my Force of Negations because of Loam and Punishing Fire. If I think they're a Dark Confidant deck, which I do, Forked Bolt is going to be pretty good. Maybe Stifle isn't quite the bee's knees here, though I do think it's fine. It'll certainly have targets. Like, stifling a Liliana activation could be the difference between winning and losing. Yeah, I want all my threats. I want that critical mass of counters does look important. Maybe I don't want both Veil of Summer, because it's really only for Abrupt Decay. Alright, yeah, I'll play one Veil. Okay, there's my deck. And I remembered to take out the sideboard cards this time. Yep. Jamming an early Tarmogoyf against decks like this is, like we've seen in this league, is a pretty big deal. So if they have turn 1 Chalice, it is what it is, but this hand can just go Goyf above it. Discarding Wasteland, that must mean they have Loam, because that's not a card you discard, because it's going to be good in this matchup for sure. Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, okay. Alright, so good thing we have Tarmogoyfs. I can commit to my Delver. I actually want to do that. Like, if they have a second Wasteland in their hand, okay. But getting damage on board, and they can't loam back this Wasteland because of their own Thalia. Like, that's a 2-turn play. So if they just have the second Wasteland, I might end up losing here, but if they have to do any work to get it, it's going to be alright. Though loaming a Wasteland is a huge problem because it will eventually kill me. I need to just punch over the finish line before it's too late, if that's the case. Okay. I would prefer that be used on Delver to Tarmogoyf or Sylvan Library. Alright, let's see what we got here. Alright, big old Tarmogoyf, get in. Already a 3/4. So let's dodge Life from the Loam or Wasteland for another turn and get a second Goyf into play, and then we get to smash. Drawing a land would be insane. If I get to Goyf plus Delver next turn and just that'll overload any removal, and then I don't even care about my lands anymore. Yeah, a blue source off the top is come on. Alright, blue source off the top is still my best play. Because then I still get to make the same play again that I just described. Just overload this removal. Not quite what I wanted. Alright, get in there, Tarmogoyf. One of these is going to stick. So them missing their land drop last turn is kind of interesting because I could Wasteland them to take them off of Loam. But getting on board is more important, and I don't have the room to goof around with that. When I'm under the gun from Thalia and just dead to a Wasteland at any point. Just gotta hope that their hand is terrible for the most part. Like, maybe they discarded the Wasteland because they needed their colors. Like, they had the 2 fetch lands and the Wasteland in their opener with Mox Diamond. Right, they're bogging someone. They're bogging me. Okay. Goyf's down to a 2/3. So the only reason they'd be attacking is if they have Punishing Fire, so I'm not going to bite. Because first strike damage, and then fire, and then Goyf is gone. Blue source. Alright, Force of Will is not bad. I can put this Delver into play. And then I have Force for something. Possibly even Punishing Fire. Though I don't think I force a Punishing Fire. I think I have to be more careful with my spells right now. But if they fire the Delver, then Goyf will grow to a 3/4. Oh, maybe I am just trying to punch over the finish line. Yeah, you know what? Let's counter this. If they top deck Liliana the Veil and just pummel me with it. I deserve it, but when I'm living this precariously against a something like Wasteland just shutting me down anyway, I want to get my damage on board. I want it happening. Like if they immediately top deck punishing or Grove of the Burn Willows, that's gonna suck. But oh, they had a second fire. Okay. Lands continue to be great draws. Okay. So now I can Hex Drinker level, or I can Sylvan Library, but I think Library is bad. I could also Hex Drinker Wasteland single level. I think I wanted level. And I want to keep pushing for damage. I'm not going to respect this Thalia when I'm at 10. It's way too much life to respect a card like that. And I will get my red source, even though I think green is more important. Okay, so there's Hex Drinker. It's possible leaving up Wasteland's more important, but getting the extra level on that now gives me more mana to work with next turn. Maybe they'll run out of gas. Like, they've been treading water, just turn 1 Thalia, then removal spell this whole game. At some point, they gotta stop doing that. Yeah, no blocks here. So I can get Hex Drinker up to 4/4 and still Ponder next turn. Oh, Blaststone's really good. Never mind, I'm not leveling Hex Drinker. Are they just going to pop immediately, or are they casting a spell? Alright, they're popping. That's fair. Okay, so now do I Ponder looking for action, or do I just get Sylvan Library into play? And I think I want to Ponder. Another Tarmogoyf, another creature. Another Hexbringer. Oh, Forked Bolt for Thalia. These are all good cards. So... But I don't get all of them. I get one of them. I want Hex Drinker again. I'll keep on attacking. And because I pondered with my green source, if I pondered with my red source, I would have been able to keep the Forked Bolt. I'm just gonna keep on pummeling. Just hit. Ignore Thalia. No respect. So Bayou I don't care about unless it casts some busted spell. That's a good one. I think I have no outs to that. I have Brazen Borrower. Yeah, Brazen Borrower is my way to beat Knight of the Reliquary, and that's it. So Brazen Borrower off the top. Uro. Oh, hello. Alright, green. Oh, Uro can come to the party. Oh shit. Whoops. That gives them their Punishing Fires back. I've made a huge mistake. Or at least one of them. I bet they would not have noticed that in real life. But it's Moto, so they get it. Okay, so this knight was too good. They get to fire this, attack, I have to block. Yeah, I've lost this game. I guess there's one chance to still win this game, which revolves around them playing poorly. So, yeah, they've played fine so far. This game was just like one bad top deck from them away from spinning out of control. Like they were able to just like 1-for-1 while pushing for damage. And then right before I could take over, they have a 6/6. So there's no Submerge or anything in this 75. It's Brazen Borrower is my answer. I guess I have Dismember as well. So that's a 6/6. Block Thalia. I go to 1. Alright. Now what? Can I win? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh no, I'm a red source away from winning the game. Oh, actually I can Lightning Bolt them, Chump Block, Forked Bolt them. So, oh wait, no, I can't Chump Block because I have to attack to get the 4 damage in. Yeah, I'm a red source away. That was actually close. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, there's no way through this. Okay, fine. Just a red source away. Alright, so Dismember, do I want you in the deck? It will destroy medium-size Knights of the Reliquary. Force of Will also challenges medium-size, or any size Knight of the Reliquary. So if I bring in these 2 cards, I'm on the play now, which helps a lot. I actually think Veil of Summer is kind of a stinker. And then, so Dismember and Force. I have to cut 1 more card to make room for all of this. And Stifle might actually just be bad here. I guess maybe on the play, do I want Daze at all? Like, I could bring in Max Force and cut all my Stifles, and then I'm just the pound on the play tempo deck. Yeah, I think I want to be that. All right, let's see a good hand. Yeah, that's a good hand. Delver, Tarmogoyf, got a little surgical extraction action. Even have Brazen Borrower if they sneak in a Chalice of the Void. Yeah, this is solid. Could definitely still lose, but it is solid. Like, I boarded out my Dazes. Daze is the one thing that would really tie this hand together. But Daze versus the Mox Diamond deck, that's why it's not in my hand, or not in my deck right now, because Mox Diamond is a beating. Alright, so I'm on the play. All the removal costs 2. I get to make the first moves here. Maybe they won't have Mox Diamond. It's just a 4 of, but they always seem to have it in the opener. Oh, tapped Tranquil Thicket? Fuck yeah. Alright, give me a flip. A Scalding Tarn does not flip this. That's fine, it does cast Tarmogoyf. I'm not gonna ever use Brainstorm to turbo flip a Delver when I have a 2-mana play. That's just not how I'm gonna play Magic. So Trop, Tarmogoyf, an eensy weensy little 1/2, but it's still bigger than Punishing Fire because if they fire it, then that will be the instant in the graveyard that makes it a 2/3. And now that I've deployed a threat on turn 1 and turn 2, the plan to like backpedal with Abrupt Decays, they're going to be like way on the back foot the whole time. And if they wasteland me here, I don't care. Okay, they can Zenith for Dryad Arbor. This turn I will Brainstorm to make sure Delver flips. Because now I do want to push for maximum punishment. Alright, a Braid is nice. Put back this land and a Braid. Yes, show them the Abrade. Draw, cast the Abrade. It's going to put a creature in the graveyard. I'm just trying to get this done. Brazen Borrower can buy a bunch of time against Knight of the Reliquary. I don't care about Chalice of the Void at this point. They can't cast Liliana of the Veil unless they have Urborg. Tarmogoyf's way out of burn range. This turn, their mana is as awkward as possible. Their spells must be good because they kept a 7-card hand with Tranquil Thicket into turn 2 Wasteland plus Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor. That is not good in a 4-color deck. So their spells must be bangers. Scavenging Ooze. Okay, so that can change the size of Tarmogoyf. Oh, so can Klothys. So let me do some mathematics here. So Tarmogoyf is a 3/4. There's only one creature in the graveyard, so Ooze would become a 3/3 and would in fact defeat Tarmogoyf in combat. So I'll attack with my flyer. Then I'm going to jam Klothys. Like, Scavenging Ooze can have some reasonable control over how effective a Klothys is, but I don't think they're going to be able to continue to play spells, develop their game, leave up mana for Ooze, and defeat the variety of threats I've presented here. And at some point, Brazen Borrower can just bounce Ooze and give me a wide open crack. They're already at 10. Wow, that's not very much. And there's 2 instants in the graveyard, so I can eat an instant with Klothys, and that will mess up. That won't affect my Tarmogoyf, and it will tax the Scavenging Ooze. Alright, so now they have Abrupt Decay mana here. I wonder if they play Marchesa. Sometimes these 4-color Lump decks have the Commander Monarch Marchesa card. I don't even know what the text on that card is, or her full name, but there's a 4-mana Marchesa with, like, you become the Monarch and haste, and something like, if you lose the Monarch, the opponent sacks a creature. I don't know. I've seen that card in decks before. Right, so Ooze. I'm going to target cards in their graveyard. I'll eat the Abrupt Decay, actually, now that I don't care because of Tarmogoyf. I think that going after their graveyard makes some sense. I also get to see what I draw. Drawing a land would actually be great. All right, that's not so great. So they'll probably eat this in response with Ooze to save their 2 life. That's what they should do anyway. And I'm trying to set up a turn here where I get to Brazen Borrow them and surprise you're dead. So I could use Surgical just to check their hand, or check, yeah, like what they have going on, and figure out if I have a lethal push with Brazen Borrower. I've drawn a lot of, like, reactive spells here. This sucks, actually. And they're important to have in the deck because if they do have Punishing Fire or they do have Loam, I'm going to need it, but it doesn't look good now when I'm trying to push advantage. Okay, Knight of the Reliquary is fine. So I think I want to bounce Scavenging Ooze. Is that accurate? So, actually, no. I just want to play Brazen Borrower, and then I win. Like, as a 3/3? Or a 3/1. And then I'll target something with Klothys. They'll target that same thing with Ooze, and then I'll extract whatever the target is. Or they would need to gain life with Ooze, but they would also need to stop life from being drained with Klothys. So they need multiple points of interaction here. So I'm going to exile a Braid, or a Brainstorm. So I target Brainstorm. They need to both exile Goyf to gain life and exile Brainstorm to not lose life. And they can't do both. Though Punishing Fire... Alright, we just did it. Went to Trophy Town. Bum-ba-ba. So, Rug Delver. Foxicon wanted me to play the deck I think is best, and I think I showed up and demonstrated why I think this deck is the best. We played against a variety of opponents and had tons of decisions to make. We had some absolute ramburglings of games where we just like Delver, Goyf, Daze, Wasteland kind of games, but we had a lot more like mid-game, finding your points of damage, stabilize, get pivot into Uro. So this was a good showcase of what this deck is capable of. I think we did a little bit of everything. We didn't play against a combo deck, so we didn't get to see what that looks like, but in all the fair matchups, we came out ahead 5 different times. So Rug Delver, still good. Uro, still powerful, though I don't think it's oppressive the way it was. I think this is just a very good deck that exists. So Foxicon, thanks for the invitation to play the deck I think is best, and I hope everybody got a lot out of this. This is just high-level Magic with a very good deck. Nothing sexy here, no clickbait, just good old Magic the Gathering. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.